Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. The shockwaves of a war being fought around 3,000 kilometers away in Iran are now being felt in India's kitchens and by hotels and restaurants that rely heavily on commercial LPG cylinders. The ripple effect of the Iran conflict and the effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz, a global energy choke point, has led to an LPG cooking gas crunch. Over the past few days, videos have emerged of serpentine queues outside LPG agencies, but the crisis is being felt even more sharply by restaurants and hotels in Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, and Lucknow. Now, we have to understand the stark reality behind this crisis. And I would like to show you the graphics that how much of the gas is really imported by India and a few more details relating to the gas crisis. Can we have that graphics play out? Yes. So here it goes that India imports over 60% of its domestic LPG requirement, and nearly 85 to 90% of these imports pass through the Strait of Hormuz, making supplies vulnerable. Now, India consumes around 31 million tons of LPG annually, and out of this, 87% is used in the domestic sector for households, while the remaining share goes to the hotels and restaurants. So this gives you an exact breakup of how grave the situation could be and what how much India is importing, how much is coming from the Strait of Hormuz, how vulnerable India is at the moment. Now, with the conflict now entering the second week, the disruption in the supply of commercial cylinders has started to impact the hospitality sector in a big way. It has raised a worrying prospect. Your humble vada pav or masala dosa could now become costlier or temporarily even disappear from the menus if the supply crunch continues. And a key reason behind this is the fact that the hospitality sector depends heavily on the commercial LPG for daily kitchen operations. Now, if you look at the conditions and the reports which are coming in all across the social media, Mumbai restaurants they are staring at a shutdown. Bangalore has also been impacted big time, with the Bangalore Hotels Association saying that operations across the city were likely to be affected starting March 10th. And the association has said that the sudden stoppage was a big blow, despite previous assurances from the oil companies that supply wouldn't be affected for around 70 days. So this is Bangalore. Then, similarly, Chennai is facing depleting LPG stocks. Now, what are the steps which the center has taken? Now, while the center has maintained that there was no shortage of the LPG cylinders, it has directed the refineries to maximize production and channel the additional output for domestic consumption. To prevent hoarding, LPG booking period has been increased from 21 to 25 days. Now, the price of a domestic LPG cylinder has been hiked by 60 rupees. In Delhi, the price has shot up by 913. Price of the commercial LPG cylinder used in restaurants has got increased to 114.5. Now, what has Bharat Petroleum said? Let's take a look at what Bharat Petroleum has said. And I would like to put out the tweet. If the tweet is ready and you can have it play out, this is what Bharat Petroleum has said that in light of the current geopolitical disruptions affecting global fuel supply, steps have been taken to enhance the LPG production and prioritize its availability for domestic consumers and essential non domestic sectors such as hospitals and educational institutions. Requests from other non domestic sectors will be reviewed by a committee of executive directors from the oil marketing companies and prioritized based on merit, necessity, and product availability. For essential requirements from other sectors, submissions may be made to the committee by emailing it, and they have given the email address. So, according to the latest updates, and as what I told you, that this is the point which has been put out by Bharat Petroleum. But the big question which is staring at everyone is that there is a huge difference in what the government is claiming and what the ground realities at the moment are. Joining me this evening, we'll try and discuss how crucial is and significant is this gas crisis, and can India really tackle the situation? What I'm told is that the Indian government has invoked ESMA, that is the Essential Commodities Act? And can this help government tackle the crisis? Joining me this evening is former Ambassador KP Fabian. So thank you so much for joining. We have Professor Bijon Kumar Mishra, who's a consumer activist. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. And we have Sanjay Kapoor, international affairs expert and veteran journalist. Thank you so much. And I'll begin with Ambassador Fabian. Ambassador Fabian, how grave and significant is this gas crisis? Can we really handle this LPG crisis? Because what I'm told is that LPG is something for which we do not have reserves. And with the Strait of Hormuz completely choked, now there is actually no outlet.
Thank you, Nilu. Basically, as we all know, India has to import 50% of what it needs for its gas consumption. And a good part of it comes from Qatar. We also get it from the United States and elsewhere. But the best part of it comes from Qatar. And the Qatar LNG plant was attacked by, I don't know, drones or missiles from Iran, and they have stopped functioning. And Qatar has announced that it will take some time. It has not specified how many days, but it will take some time. So that is why we are having this problem. Now, you said that this has come to our notice only today, but you know that Qatar had stopped exporting natural gas. That was known 3 or 4 days ago, no? So I don't know why this should have happened only today, and why the government seems to be, I'm not judging, seems to be sort of taking action only now, whereas the minister in charge has been going on saying that in terms of hydrocarbon energy we were not facing a crisis. So maybe we seem to have woken up slightly late in the day, but I hope I'm wrong.
No, but Ambassador Fabian, India already knew, and with Donald Trump already making his intentions very clear for a war against Iran, everybody knew that this was coming. So, if you are saying that India has woken up now, so which means that India couldn't gather or pick up the threads from what Trump said and was indicating on the Iran war.
No, it is not what Trump was saying. We had the news that Iran has started retaliating by targeting the GCC countries, mainly the foreign bases, but also the hydrocarbon sector. After all, what is Iran's strategy? Iran's strategy, this is an asymmetrical war, isn't it? Israel and America have infinitely more military power, firing power, than Iran. So Iran's strategy is to inflict economic pain, not only on the GCC, but also on the rest of the world, and by implication on the United States. So that with oil prices going up, with gas shortages, with the stock market coming down, Trump will be compelled, Iran hopes, to call it a day. Now, we are still waiting for that.
No, but Trump has already indicated, like what he said last evening, that the war may end anytime soon. And now what we are hearing, I think Sanjay could confirm it to us, that apparently Iran is thinking of opening the Strait of Hormuz for a few nations. I'll come to you, Sanjay, on that bit. But Mr. Fabian, if the Strait of Hormuz opens up, then do you think that the crisis can be solved immediately, or it would still take days before everything gets normalized?
Even if the Strait of Hormuz is opened up, what we have to understand is that Qatar LNG plant is not working. And
Yes.
Qatar has made it clear to all of us that it will take them some time to resume production. So
All
that is
right.
where we are.
Right. All right. Now I'll come to Bijon Mishra and then I'll come to Sanjay. Bijon, how grave is this crisis? And from the consumer perspective, what we are getting to know is that apparently the restaurants in so many cities are almost on the verge of shutting down. Yesterday, there was a report that a crematorium in Pune, which was dependent on the gas, that also shut down. Is India really staring at a big crisis?
Well, I don't know whether
Yes,
it's
Bijon.
big crisis, but there is a crisis. Yeah. So Nilu, there is a crisis. This is unprecedented, and naturally, it was not expected. But I'm sure the people who are working behind the scene, in terms of ensuring an uninterrupted supplies of essential commodities like the LPG gas, they would have done their homework properly. They would have understood when the crisis would come, how it would come, in what manner it will come, how they will tackle, what is the plan A, what is the plan B. They would have done all this homework. And I'm sure they would have, ensured that the supply doesn't get disrupted in the manner which is suddenly being seen in the media. Now, what we want to understand is that what is it that is creating this. Now, as you know, the Essential Commodities Act has been already promulgated, and all the states have been warned to monitor and ensure that there is no hoarding going on. The supplies are maintained in normalcy. Consumers are also made to be made aware that you should not do panic buying, you should not start hoarding in your houses. So that what is, and you also in a very thrifty manner start using fuel for a while, because you have to ensure that only what is essential you do that. That kind of an awareness through channels like you all should reach the consumers and make them aware. But at the same time, the government should come out with very clear, credible information in terms of what are the stocks available, how it is available, where it is available, how much it is available, and in what manner they are thinking of, monitoring it and supplying it, so that there is no crisis, there is no, middleman making a huge profit out of such crisis. All these kind of issues have to be addressed by the government, because they are the ones who highly depend on the regulator. Now we have a regulator in each of these areas, especially essential commodities. So I am expecting the regulator will come out with very clear cut, statements in terms of transparent figures, and transparently sharing with the media what the consumers want to know, and not speculate in these kind of informations, because that is what creates much of a crisis, because of such speculative news which comes in. So in my view, it's a very kind of a strong need of a robust need to have a responsible, credible information sharing by the government at this point of time. And that is very important, because they are privy to all the
Right.
activities, they are privy to all the developments which are going on, their embassies are there, they also must be coordinating in a very efficient and effective manner. So I'm quite sure that things are happening in a manner which it should, but somehow it is not reaching us. So there is some kind of a panic, and that is how
Right.
these restaurant owners and even the domestic consumers are getting panicked. And as you are showing on your screen, high level meetings are being held. Now what are the decisions coming out of these meetings? They should be all transparently shared and not hidden. I mean, that's the point which I want to make. This is the
Right.
time when government should come out in a credible manner, sharing
Yes.
information in a transparent manner, and ensuring that the consumers don't get into any panic.
No, but Professor Bijon, people are also saying, and there are people saying that there is a huge difference between what the government is claiming and how things are happening on the ground. Why do you think that there is a feeling like this? And which always will lead to a conclusion that apparently the government is not being transparent about the real situation on the ground. Yes, Bijon.
So, Neelu, that is what I'm trying to say. Uh, Neelu, that is what I'm trying to say. This is the time when media has to also work in a responsible manner. Now, this is exactly what I'm trying to say, that the media needs to also ensure that they don't sensationalize these kind of issues. They don't make it a kind of an issue which becomes into more a kind of a crisis in terms of handling the credibility of the information. So you all should try to get the information from the source. And that is what I'm saying through your channel. I'm telling the government, please, for heaven's sake, be transparent, give all the informations which is truthful, let the consumers know where we are today, and tell the consumers not to panic. not to take such steps which will again create a kind of a upheaval in the marketplace. We have to ensure that the market
Right.
is well navigated, monitored, understood, and that is the role we want to see at the time of crisis. When the good
Right.
days are there, we don't want them to be super active, but in the crisis time, we definitely expect government to be super active. In the crisis time,
Right.
we definitely expect the regulators to be seen very active in terms of truthful information to the consumers. And this is where I'm saying, and I'm appealing to the journalists, I'm appealing to the news channels, that please try to give truthful information to the consumers. Don't create a sensation. Don't try to panic and scare the consumers so that they start hoarding in their household, which otherwise the middlemen may be already doing. And that is where the middleman needs to be also stopped from
Right.
doing any kind
All
of
right.
a anti-consumer activity or any kind of unethical activities which the consumer
Right.
should be able to tackle. And that is where
Yeah.
the law has given them the hand. And that is why the Essential Commodities Act comes into action. Essential
Right.
Commodities Act is not prevalent throughout the year, but in these kind of circumstances, we bring that law because we want to make sure people don't profit here out of such crisis. And this is where we want the government to see that they are active, they are pro-consumer, they are working in the interest of the citizen, and they are catching those criminals who are trying to create havoc in the marketplace.
Right. So, according to a few latest updates, as late as like 3:30 p.m., what we are told is that PM Modi is reviewing the LPG supply situation with Hardeep Puri and S. Jaishankar. What I'm told is that today he had held a meeting with Hardeep Puri and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to review the country's LPG supply situation and assess the possible disruptions arising from the ongoing Iran war. Then, as has already been discussed, Center has invoked Essential Commodities Act to boost the LPG supply. Then HPCL has already outlined the LPG supply priority plan in West Asia war. I've already showed you what Bharat Petroleum, the tweet which was put out. But how does this crunch gets tackled is a $1 million question. But Sanjay, and I'll come to you now. This is not only a crisis which is faced by India. These aftershocks are also felt by neighboring countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh. I was reading a report where Bangladesh has closed down its schools, colleges, and universities so that they can save on the power. How is the situation? I think similar conditions prevail in Pakistan as well. What is the input which you got as far as these neighboring nations are concerned? Because it does have a trickle effect. India was one of the prominent countries also supplying gas to countries like Bangladesh.
Yeah, Niru, this is a different animal altogether. This is not expected, despite whatever. It's easy to blame media for this, but media is not the only entity which is responsible for the crisis. People are worried that what happens when the stocks get over. The government at first, Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri said 25 days, and subsequently it was said 40 days. Now you don't know what there is no clarity till the time war ends. You will never be sure of where the next cylinder will come. So whatever Mr. Prime Minister may say or his petroleum minister may say, but we don't have real control over it because we have been trying to link ourselves, hitch our fortunes with that of the United States of America, and hope in hell that something happens with us so that we can continue to ride on their good fortune. But that's really taking it very far. We have a responsibility not only for our own people, we have a responsibility for our neighbors who rely a lot, like Nepal, Bangladesh, and to some extent not Pakistan, but Nepal, Bangladesh, and to some extent Sri Lanka. And we have been told that Bangladesh has been given some gas supply from Numaligarh refinery, and it will go there, and because they are in a very bad shape. And as you were telling me, they have closed down universities where so that they can control the gas supply. And similarly, Pakistan has closed down all the university, college, schools, and colleges. So it has not come to that kind of state in India, but even the thought of the crisis that is being suggested from Bangalore, where the restaurants are saying that no food will be supplied to people who ask for it, is very scary because lakhs and lakhs of people who rely on the food business will go hungry or without any kind of possibility of making any kind of money You have the gig workers, you have people who do make dosas and other things there. There are hundreds and thousands of people who, live off these people who go in the morning and eat breakfast and go for work. What happens to them? They're not even married. Many of them, they don't have a provision to cooking at home. So you can just imagine the implications, and it got nothing to do with media. It is something that's being felt all through by the people, and it came from Bangalore when the Hotel and Restaurant Association started talking about it. So I think that this is a serious crisis, and I think the government of India should make an attempt to talk with all the political parties, be very clear on that, so that people know exactly what is wrong. Because you can't allow
You are
people
saying,
to make it.
Sanjay, you are saying that the government should make an attempt to call for an all-party meeting, apparently, on this gas crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. They should make it a point of talking with everybody, talking with people, and they could have, as Mr. Mishra was saying, a more transparent way of telling the people about the cylinders, LPG, and all that. I remember going to Sri Lanka, and there they had everything written on a board: how many gas cylinders come, how much has been spent, what is the money. So that kind of clarity should be there, because now what will happen, that there will be hoarders and active who start hoarding things. You can't have the government go after them, and many of them would be supporters of the government for that matter, because they are decently endowed in terms of money, power, and all that, and they will ensure that they make more money at the cost of poor people. So all in all, it's a serious crisis, and I think it can only be resolved if there's an end to war. But who's trying to control the war? There's no UN. There's nothing happening at this moment.
Precisely. No, despite the fact that Donald Trump said that the war might end anytime soon, but there is no timeline. Ambassador Fabian, I'll come to you. How grave, or what is the scale, or what is the magnitude of this gas crisis? Many people are not able to understand that most of the gas we were getting is from the Gulf countries. It was passing through Strait of Hormuz. Even if Hormuz opens up immediately, then also the crisis doesn't get resolved easily. So, what is the magnitude? If the people may have to understand that, how large is the scale of this gas crisis, especially the LPG?
Well, as I said earlier, the whether the Strait of Hormuz is open or not, that only matters as regard the passage of the gas. But the gas has to be produced first, and production in Qatar has stopped for reasons which we know. So
No, but
unless
will
that
India
production,
also have the option, Ambassador Fabian, will India also have the option of getting gas from US? Because it's a long distance, it might take some time, but is India open to the option of buying gas from US?
we have been buying, and also you can buy it on the spot. You see, only thing is that the price is high. But let's understand the crux of the problem is because of stoppage of production by Qatar, which is a very big gas exporter, there is shortage. A shortage not created by the media, a shortage which is there. Now, as Professor Mishra said, the government could have been more forthright in sharing the information. And I don't think the media has created the shortage. Media is very powerful, but it has not created the shortage, and it is to be discussed as you have been doing.
Right.
And
Okay. So,
coming to the question of
yes.
President Trump's statement, you see, on the one hand, it is my view that President Trump, sooner or later, hopefully sooner rather than later, will, quote, declare victory and stop it. But on the other hand, the statement which he made, which is very vaguely worded, I think that was meant to bring down the oil prices. And there he has succeeded. Now it has come down to $90. But if he doesn't take further action in the next 2-3 days, then the market will react and the prices will go up again. You see, he's playing with the market, but you can play only up to a point. So we have to wait and to see whether President Trump was serious when he said he might declare victory.
Right. But as you're pointing out that, if the prices may go up if there is a further shortage, Professor Bijan, I'll come to you. is India really prepared to handle that kind of a shortage? Because already they've increased the booking period of the cylinders, the gas cylinders, from 21 days to 25 days. Now, if the prices further escalate, what problems will the Indian consumer really face? And what is the crisis you're looking at in the coming days?
Yeah. So Neelu,
Yes.
I am a person who firmly believes. I firmly believe today that technology plays a very important role. You see, today in the press of the button, you will come to know exactly what is lying where, and how much is lying where, and how much of gas is floating on the high seas, what are the prices prevailing, who is charging what, how the trading is going on. All that the Indian officials are already privy to. You see, and we as consumers, we also know that the data is available everywhere now today. Nobody can hide it. Of course, you can manipulate your data, which again you can come to know that it is getting manipulated. So, but my contention is, I never said that the media can be made responsible for creating scarcity. I only said that the media should have a responsive role in ensuring that they get the right sorts of information brought to the consumers. This is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that the media is creating any crisis. Media is actually trying to help the consumer to make them aware that look, do not get panicked, do not start hoarding at home, start looking at the data, look at it in a very pragmatic manner. You also need to participate as a consumer to put in your bit in terms of managing your consumption so that you can manage the consumption in such a manner that we are able to overcome the crisis in a very smooth and a seamless manner. Now, this is where we come from. As a consumer policy person, I always believe that there is a very important role. Data plays a very important role. We need to be transparent. We need to share it with people so that they don't get panicked. And I'm again and again saying this is the role of the regulator,
Yes.
this is the role of the state governments and the government which manages the distribution system. So this is where I come from. I am not blaming the media. I'm only requesting the media to be responsible because there are black sheeps everywhere. Money out of such crisis. I am only looking at exposing those people who try to get the crisis in their favor to make money and profiteer out of it at the cost of the consumer. I don't want that to happen. That would be disastrous. So that is why
Yeah.
I always have a role
Right.
along with the media
Right.
to
And as
reach
far
out to
as
the
the, yeah.
consumers, educate them, and ensure that we are able to overcome the crisis in a very smooth and a seamless manner. We should not get worried. We
No,
should
but
not
we,
get
like a
worried. We
responsible,
should not get
yes, Professor
overexcited
Bijon,
about it.
we are a
And
responsible
let's
media
not make
platform.
these issues.
Professor Bijon, Professor Bijon, we are a responsible media platform and we are not trying to spread panic, but we are trying to just show what the real situation on the ground is, and which is why we are putting out all sides of the story. What the government is saying, how the government is reviewing the situation, what the situation on the ground is, not only in India, but in other neighboring countries as well. For the concluding comment, Sanjay, what can we expect now in the coming days? Of course, the government is reviewing. Of course, the government is worried. I'm not saying that the government is not worried about the consumers, how this crisis can, further escalate. But what can we expect? And there are incidents and there are instances to go which go to show that many times the government doesn't inform you about the real picture.
I agree with you, and I appreciate the concern expressed by Mr. Mishra. But the fact of the matter is
That is
that in
exactly
these
what I'm saying.
circumstances,
That is
the government is far more powerful now than what it used to be earlier. And I would be very happy if government also commandeers the Adanis and Ambanis to get gas for us. I think it would have a soothing effect on the people of India. They would feel that they're getting all the favorites to also help out with the consumer, because this is not just the worry of the society; it is of every individual who resides there. How he'll eat, how he'll
Yes,
travel, what will he do, jobs. It's not something that is confined to the government
absolutely.
at of the day. It is a responsibility that is of everybody possible, and they must ensure that all hands on the deck at the moment, and that includes the private sector, because the The people who have been mentioned in the entire list are mostly from the public sector company, none from the private sector. I think it's time that we private sectors also take some responsibility. Thank you.
Right. Right. So we'll have to end it here there, but we'll have our eyes glued to the crisis, the gas crisis, which is playing out in the country, and all the sectors which can or will get affected in the coming days. We'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Ambassador Fabian, Professor Bijon Mishra, Sanjay. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.